what has Todos Santos and the Baja meant to you over the last 17 years?
Well, it's been interesting because work is foremost in my life, has been. And the work selling real estate has been very rewarding to see the smile most times on people's face, almost every time. And so that's been very rewarding. It's a complicated job. But at the end of the day and in the morning, there's the ocean.
Yeah.
And there's fish in the ocean and the seafood on the Pacific, and the fish just kills the Atlantic Ocean. There's no doubt about it.
Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja California Sur. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have, all the way from Todos Santos, Dan Binetti. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me today.
And I wanted to have Dan on the podcast because he's our team lead out in the Todos Santos office. He brings a lot of experience. I think you've been here almost as long or longer than I have. How many years now?
17 years now.
Okay, I got you beat by 1 year. So 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
And we actually met each other originally because we started in the same company. Did we work at Coldwell Banker together?
We did work at Coldwell Banker. You had just become Los Cabos agent.
Uh-huh.
And you were representing a buyer on a home I listed.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
And where was that? Remind me where that was.
That was south of Los Cerritos, an area called Salitral.
Yeah, and I remember that house because it's only at the time it was a 2-bedroom house.
Yep.
And it sold for somewhere probably around $220.
$220 was the price.
And what would that house sell for right now?
Oh, that's a $575 or $600 now.
As a 2-bedroom?
As a 2-bedroom in that neighborhood, $550 easy.
Okay, so
between $550 and $600.
So 2.5 times the price that they bought. What is that, about a decade ago?
Yep.
We did the deal?
10 years ago, and so that's a pretty nice return on investment.
So Dan, tell everyone about where you're coming from, because you're not native to Cabo, to Todos Santos. You've been here for 17 years. Where are you originally from?
Born and raised in New Jersey, just over the George Washington Bridge, New York City. I was in manufacturing and manufacturing management and went around the country, a few different companies, and knew that Mexico and Baja Sur is where I wanted to be. I used to vacation down here, and I made the move easily once an opportunity opened itself. And
so when you moved to the Baja, it was immediately to Todos Santos, or did you do Cabo San Lucas first?
No, I vacationed in Cabo San Lucas some 20 times at the old Hotel Twin Dolphin. Uh-huh. And a good friend that I knew from New Jersey had a bar and grill in Pescadero, and he sold that bar and grill. I was friends with him, and he said, I'm opening a real estate market. Why don't you come with me? And I went back. I was working with General Motors at the time, and I resigned. And within 26 days, I was here full time.
And you haven't looked back. You told me before that you even going back to the States very rarely.
Yeah, in fact, I've only left Baja Sur 3 times in those years. I plan to vacation a little more in the future, but it's really to see more of Mexico, actually.
Yeah. And so what has Todos Santos and the Baja meant to you over the last 17 years?
Well, it's been interesting because work is foremost in my life, has been. And the work selling real estate has been very rewarding to see the smile most times on people's face, almost every time. And so that's been very rewarding. It's a complicated job. But at the end of the day and in the morning, there's the ocean.
Yeah.
And there's fish in the ocean and the seafood on the Pacific, and the fish just kills the Atlantic Ocean. There's no doubt about it.
So Dan, tell everyone what you like to do in your spare time, because it's not just all about selling real estate.
It's all about fishing, actually. Selling real estate is second.
Yeah. And so what kind of, I think you were telling me the second biggest.
The second largest Dorado in the world. And a number of other species, 7 in a day. I target fishing. I don't just fish to see what catches the hook. So it's something I really enjoy. I don't spear fish, but I do dive, and it really calms me because I can be a very high-strung person. And
you're from New Jersey.
yeah, I take that to the table. And so then I want to relax, and there's nothing like getting in the ocean, even if it's the middle of the night, and just floating around for a while. It's pretty amazing.
So tell everyone about octopus fishing. This will blow your mind. I was
well.
amazed.
I've actually caught 2 octopus on a hook. Okay, out of the old port, which is just south of Punta Lobos, and just fishing, and I hooked an octopus 2 times. And once I put him in the cooler, he's alive. I put him in the cooler and had something on the cooler, and he was able to get out. I mean, octopus are very smart, and some people will say they're not to be eaten, but for me, they are very tasty when they're cooked right.
How big was the octopus?
One was small, and the other was a little bit larger, about the size around.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, good size. There's quite a few of them there.
And were you intending to fish octopus?
I wasn't fishing octopus, but the second time I kind of was, because the first time was so rewarding, I went back.
So what happens? They grab the bait and they get hooked like a fish?
Well, they grab the bait and then you hook them. Exactly. So you have a hook into them somewhere and you're able to get them up. Not so easy because they can grab onto things at the bottom. So you have to be patient. You think you have a rock.
Right.
But once you get them up and you see what it is, you get really nervous. And if you haven't touched a live octopus, it's kind of intimidating sometimes, but it's really fun. It's one of the many species that I didn't really know exist.
And you're fishing that in the evening, or
I was fishing that at sunset. Yeah,
okay.
You could fish any time of the day. Like I said, the Pacific Ocean offers species that are much larger and a variety of species.
When you're doing the fishing, is it shoreline fishing or are you getting in a boat?
I rarely shoreline fish anymore because of 5 knee surgeries. It's hard to run around in the sand, but I do rock fish some. Mostly I'm in a boat.
Okay. And what kind of a boat? Is that a panga?
Just a panga.
Okay.
Really, for me, it's almost the smaller the better. I bring a cast net, so I want to get into the rocks, cast for sardines, and then take those sardines and gauge up the fish I catch.
So for those that haven't done that on the Pacific, because in the Cabo San Lucas Marina, you can grab any number of fishing boats. Yeah. How would you get a boat in Todos Santos?
In Todos Santos, there's local fishermen. In fact, Danica, one of our agents, her father is one of the well-known fishermen, and he takes out tourists because the panga fishermen generally are fishing for an income, and they're not really, we don't have like a recreational fleet. We have a commercial fleet. There's 2 or 3 people that I could set you up with, and they'll take care of you for the day. All right. Also, I like to fish out of Bay of the Dead, which is on the, Bay of Dreams.
Bay of Dreams, not Bay of Dead.
Bay of Dead Dreams, which is on the East Cape.
And that's one of the most beautiful beaches in all of Baja. Maybe top 3 for me.
It's very, very, really, really nice. All the way up La Ventana, and 7 species in a day. That's pretty... Yeah, and I've done that twice there out of Bay of the Dead. Bay of Dreams, Bay of Dead Dreams, excuse me.
Well, you've been here a long time where it was Bay of the Dead.
It was, and then it was bought, and they made a negotiation and brought in water and changed to Bay of Dreams. And for those of you who are football fans, Kyle Turley, who was an aggressive lineman for the St. Louis Rams, actually was the second owner of Bay of Dreams Beach Club.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. Look at that. Mr. Historian Dan Binetti. Yeah. So, Todos Santos, for those that don't know, Todos Santos in the surrounding area, they come to Cabo San Lucas or San Jose del Cabo. Tell everyone what is the distinguishing factors of the area.
Okay, what we consider Todos Santos is Elias Calles, which is halfway from Cabo, to say Agua Blanca, which is about 20 minutes outside of Todos Santos. And that's kind of our Todos Santos terrain. So you'll find that most of the agents, especially the agents in the Ronival office, they know that area. We don't try to take a listing in La Paz or over somewhere else. We want to know our area, the ins and outs. What makes it unique is there are so many different terrains, so many different types of terrains that you have to know about each one or you fall short for your client.
So, for example, title and the measurements on title tend to be a pretty common issue for properties?
Correct. Well, most of the property came from an ejido, and ejidos have a certain procedure they must follow to release the property for the first time. But if they fail to follow that procedure, a claim could be made against the property in the future. So it's very important to have a thorough title search done on any property you purchase and make sure that it was titled correctly. And the areas that weren't, we already know about it. Yeah. And sometimes you say, wow, for sale, for sale, for sale, that's a great area. Well, there's a reason there's a problem with the title, and that's having an expert in your corner.
Well, and that's what, when you joined us like over 2 years ago now, that was one of the huge advantages that we had, is being able to have someone inside that really knows. If I ever have a question about a certain property, I go to Dan. Yeah. Hey, Dan, what about this property? What are the title issues? And you nail it. Yeah. Like 99% of the time, what's going on. And the time that you don't, we have legal counsel to help us.
Also, I've surrounded myself with good people. Previous podcast was with Mark Sherman. And when I was with the previous company, Caldwell, Mark Sherman came on board, and he's my expert in the Los Cerritos area. Yeah. I'm his expert in the Todos Santos area. He and I talk to each other, and we bounce ideas off each other and make sure hey, Mark, I'm going to show in your neck of the woods what's the best three. Right. And he does the same with me. So having a good team you can trust goes a long way.
Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured, or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment. I think that's one of the big differences, Dan, when our clients coming from the US or Canada, there's websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, where you get all that information readily available to you online, but there's so much information still not available to the general public.
Yeah, you get the top 20 items of the 75 you need to know about, and they all look good. I mean, I can see that any one of those sites is going to say, beware, this is danger. Yeah. So, and the same thing with some of even the companies. There are a few companies that are in and around Todos Santos. They might be brand new or just popped up, and they don't know or understand. And maybe you get something that works out, and maybe you don't. But maybe you don't is not good.
Because in a worst case scenario, if you're buying a property with an issue, you can lose your money. You can get title to a property. Maybe it's not the property that you actually bought.
Years can go by and you end up with nothing. I've been involved now in, I'm going to say, close to 400 transactions at least through managing and my own transactions. And I've had two transactions that we wrote the contract and did not close. That's too many. Yeah. But the bottom line is, any other agent in Todos Santos or the surrounding areas, if they could say they had 10, they would be lying. Yeah. And so we make sure that we get the paperwork right on the front end, that the seller's ready and has able to sell, buyer's ready and able to buy, and a transaction happens.
So why is that important for owners that become sellers in Todos Santos and surrounding areas to work with a real estate professional like yourself?
Well, for instance, you can easily be talked into how, look, that wasn't an important document, and look, they're not going to come and make a claim. You know, it's been sold a couple times, unlikely that really small. And then when you go to sell, all of a sudden you have people that want to make sure the paperwork's correct, number one. It's not the same buyer that says, it doesn't really matter, or it's only $10,000. Okay, now it has to be right. And so you bought, you got it on the cheap, but it turns out you can't sell it. Yep. And unfortunately, sometimes when someone's selling, there's an emergency in their life, and they need to sell quickly, and they're unable to.
Yep. I mean, I'm looking at a property right now in an undisclosed area, and this owner has owned it for over 40 years and doesn't have proper title.
And it can be common. It doesn't mean it's not correctable, but it takes time and effort to correct it, and that needs to be done, because you can't keep passing along not properly titled property and expect to even get a return on investment if you can sell it.
Because today, what I noticed in the 18 years being here is today's buyer is more sophisticated than the buyer when we were first selling.
Yes, that's true. We're seeing, even in the younger people, okay, don't kid yourself, surfers have college degrees too.
Yes.
And so the buyer does their education before they arrive. They ask questions they wouldn't ask before. Mm-hmm. We always have the answer. So that's what steps us apart. But it's not just, oh, I love it. Okay, let's buy it. The title might be in a year. Oh, that's okay. I don't have title. As long as I just keep coming to use it. Yeah. But now we're talking about the property values have gotten more expensive. Mm-hmm. Investment properties, people want return on that investment. Yeah. And so they're demanding that things be correct. Mm-hmm. And Mexico is stepping up to that challenge.
So when you joined us a couple of years ago, and since then, there's been people that were colleagues of yours that have recently joined us over between that time period. What have you seen in terms of the experienced agent kind of moving around to different companies? What are they looking for? Because you're the team lead in our team.
Well, what we do, what steps us apart, and me as team lead, Nick as the owner of the company, is with an experienced agent that joins our team, they don't need to be micromanaged, and we don't try to micromanage them. So we give an agent the freedom to express themselves, write their own contracts, present their own work, ask for help when it's needed and be there for them, and pay a commission structure that surpasses anyone else.
Yeah. So, and on your team, recently you had someone graduate into a real estate agent. Tell everyone about that.
Yeah, so when I came on board, Danica, who's with us, she was in ISA, internal sales, and she was moved over to selling agent just about the time that I joined the team. And she was being kind of partnered up with another non-experienced agent. And so they kind of fumbled their way through, but they were learning. And so I was asked to take this on and put some effort into bringing her up to speed. She's a quick learner. And most recently, she was just promoted now to full-fledged level 1 agent. And she looks to take advantage of that, taking advantage of getting higher commissions from the company, but bringing better sales. I'm very proud, and she's doing just that. So we just recently, about this week, today's the start day, you're right, taken another person out of ISA, and today she has her first accepted contract.
She already has a first accepted
first accepted sale. It happens to be a listing of mine. And so I guided her through the contract. She needed very little help, actually. And it's being signed probably right now by the seller. I had a conference with this morning. She also brought a very attractive listing to the table.
What about that? So wait. So she just got her first sale on her first day as a sales agent?
That's correct.
Representing a buyer?
Representing a buyer.
How did she get the buyer?
The buyer was a client lead or a walk-in. And in fact, it was yesterday. Yes. And the client knew the area. She toured them. And with the video dronage that she had taken in areas nearby, and actually for me of that property, and she was able to make the sale. And so very attractive. It's a quality sale, $110,000 lot, which is nothing to be ashamed of. And last week, a company lead that she's taking on, and she has a very attractive property that I may have a buyer for. So it looks like there's some type of click going on there.
And this isn't a $100,000 listing.
This is a $3.8 million property. And it was previous buyers that bought a very large estate property on the beach. And we have since become somewhat friends. And his two sons race in the Baja Mill and a number of other races. And this property is in Las Playitas and offers a lot of different variants in terrain. Very interested, not sure, but I feel when I feel a good vibe, I feel a good vibe.
Yeah.
It's a fit for he and his family. And that would be another nice experience for her, that she comes in and takes a nice new listing and then is able to turn that right around. Cool. And I'll work with her again on the selling side, so she'll get a real clean learning curve.
That's amazing to have that success so early in her real estate career. About the real estate market, it's been good, bad, average? What are we talking about?
Well, we like to say it's tremendous until we're still working at midnight. But it's been amazing. I mean, I'm going to quote some of your stats, but I believe in 2000, the company was somewhere near a 50 million company. And in 2001, during COVID... 20, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, you went to close to 2 million, is that right? 200 million.
Yeah,
sorry.
In 2020, we sold about 75 million of closed real estate.
Okay.
I think it was closed. Yeah, closed
real estate.
And then we closed just shy of 300 million last year.
And so those numbers are reflective of Todos Santos. What we're finding in Todos Santos is we are seeing folks that are younger and are thinking about their future, very organic, looking in areas outside of Todos Santos to be able to have a place for their retirement. And so those are educated, young, working families. We're seeing what I call the blue hair, which is 5 years from retirement.
Right.
And they realize it's only going up and their retirement money will only get them so far. So they're buying now. And then we're seeing the gray hairs that are spending more and more time here, and they're retired and only going home to see the grandkids.
It's so you're seeing it amazing. From all age groups, all demographics?
All age groups, all demographic. Probably up until about 5 years ago, we didn't even see vacationers from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. You like Chicago and East Coast from there. Now vacationers from the East Coast who are quickly understanding the Mayan Riviera is hot and sticky and wet. Florida, I lived in Tampa Bay, hot, sticky, and wet. Todos Santos, 85 degrees in the summer months. Maybe it reaches 10 days of 90. I'm not sure it hit 100 degrees since I've been living here.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, 6 days of rain a year, 20 minutes is a day of rain. Yep. Yet you can see sheets of rain every day in the Sierras for 90 days straight, but the sun is shining in Todos. The wahoo, the dorado are being caught off the beach. The marlin, bottom fishing. It's unlimited. Yeah. And beautiful homes that are being well built. 15 years ago, there was an outlet here, one on the floor, another here, but the building quality has gone up as well, and people are expecting it, and it's here.
Well, guys, if you don't know about Todos Santos, I don't know a better commercial advertisement for the area. Dan, I really appreciate you joining us, telling everyone about the area. And if you're interested in buying, selling, or just going fishing, contact Dan. And if you're looking for career opportunities and are interested in joining the Ronival Todos Santos team, this is the man. Dan, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
All right,
guys.
Day. Until the next one, bye for now. Good man.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.